Hi, guys. So, on the back of my last 7 days of lives, I thought I would do another five. And I'm digging a little bit deeper into this idea of self care and the small stuff and what really matters when we are trying to look after ourselves more and not fall into the trap of I haven't got time, too busy, I've got other stuff to do. And, I started off talking about just adjusting our language. And that is something that we can do without any extra time. But the other stuff that I wanted to raise was how we can look at how we are living our life. So we're not actually changing stuff up. We're looking at what we're currently doing and we're making adjustments. Because the last thing that I want to do is, as I said before, is give you something else to add to the list of to-dos. And the reason I uh, talked about the small stuff becomes the big stuff is because we know that if we break something down and look and start taking small steps towards something, all of those small steps compound, all of those small steps build. Now, we know this intellectually, we know this logically, but actually putting it into place is really tough. And it's tough doing it on your own. I know, I've tried. And I am often talking to people about stripping things back and starting the small stuff, asking for their feedback and asking for them to share their successes. And they do the classic, yeah, I did this, but yeah, I got to bed on time, but yeah, I started working on my exercise routine, but. And I cannot overemphasize that the yeah, but just destroys everything. And we become caught in that trap, caught in that pattern of discounting our efforts. And, years ago, I remember Tony Robbins talking about this in from another perspective. And he was talking about how, he said, pose the question, how long would you give the average baby to learn to walk? And I mean, people are all rolling their eyes and laughing. And he said, exactly. It's as long as it takes. We give them as long as it takes. We also give them encouragement. We also support them. We also nurture their efforts. We don't say, oh my God, you haven't even managed to stand up and walk yet. And yet we do that to ourselves on a daily basis. And I can almost guarantee there is somewhere in your life where you are discounting efforts towards something and it's going to destroy you. And that I'm using that word deliberately because once you've destroyed your energy, your passion, you just become caught in that place of why bother? Because I never managed to succeed. And then we get caught up in the pattern of talking about stuff in a way that doesn't support us. And recognizing these patterns and recognizing how you respond when you're struggling with something or when you're trying to learn something or change a routine or start something new is absolutely key to feeling confident and feeling successful. Confidence isn't something that you just pull yourself together and magically discover. It's a series of behaviors that leave you feeling a certain way. And, when I talk to people about defining confidence, I'm getting off topic actually, but I'm going to run with it because I'm on a roll. Defining confidence. Confidence is a set of behaviors. And once we can organize and acknowledge and accept that, we remove that barrier to feeling confident. If you are confident, you have an understanding of what's happened before, what you've changed, what's going to happen. You're confident that you're going to get the result that you want. And why are you confident? Because of what you've done before, what you've learned, what you've applied. So let's demystify that word confidence and actually think of it as a set of behaviors that lead up to a feeling. Because we don't magically create confidence. Confidence comes from experience. And, you know, for me, the classic example was getting up on stage and doing a routine. And you can get confident and feel confident because you've done the work, you've learned the routine, you've tried it out, you've learnt from previous experience of what works and what doesn't work, and you build on that. And it means that this can be taught, this can be trained, this can be learnt, and that's really important to know. And that knowledge can then be applied to other areas in your life. So if you feel confident in something in your life, look at why, pick it apart and say, what can I do? What can I learn from this situation that I can apply somewhere else? And I've done this more and more the older I get and the more experienced I get in understanding behavior and what drives us and what motivates us. And I've looked at areas in my life where I was confident and I thought, why? How? What did I do? What did I experience? What can I take from that? And how can I use that in my new setup where I don't feel so confident? So there's something for you to ponder in terms of self-care and trying things out and exploring things. So if you've got something that you're working on, don't beat yourself up because you haven't got the instant outcome that you want. And the reason that I'm really digging into this small stuff is because we've kind of been trained out of acknowledging that as well. You know, there was that fantastic book, you know, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And I think that needs to be defined more deliberately. You know, don't sweat the small stuff that doesn't matter, that doesn't contribute to you and your life. And an example I use frequently is the person that cuts you up on the motorway, the person that's rude to you in a shop. That's the small stuff we need to let go of. And maybe learn from that small stuff. But we don't want to hang on to it. Because that equally leads to big stuff. And we all know that person. And maybe it's us sometimes, because I know it's certainly me sometimes. We get on a roll, don't we? You'll never believe what happened to me today. And then this happened, and then that happened. And oh my God, you should have seen this. And suddenly that small incident that upset you becomes a catalogue of incidences that upset you. And you step back from that and you go, well, how do I feel? Has this contributed to me? And has it taken me closer to my goal? Is it adding to my life? And so that is why the small stuff from two different angles becomes the big stuff. So there is some small stuff that we don't want to sweat. And instead, we want to sweat the small stuff that really matters. The person that smiled at us at the bus stop. The person that waved at us and let us in when we were trying to get in on the motorway. The person in the supermarket queue who cracked a joke with us. The fact that it's a sunny day. The fact that we woke up. So that small stuff leads to a completely different view and a completely different feeling. And I think this is the self-care that we can highlight and drill down on without having to add stuff to our to-do list. So for the next 4 days after today, I will be sharing some stuff that I've learned, some stuff that I think will be useful to you, stuff that I've learned from fitness, funnily enough. And I thought I'd pick a topic, and the topic is self care around health, because I doubt if there's anyone out there who's not interested to some degree in being healthier, feeling healthier. And these four things that I've learnt from my fitness journey do not require you to add anything to your to do list. It's small things that can build up to become the big things. And think of it in terms of how that leaves you feeling. You know, if you're drilling down on the small stuff that matters, the successes, those small steps towards getting what you want, that's going to leave you feeling a lot more confident, a lot more full of energy, and that belief that, yes, I can break through this and I can achieve what I want. And think of it in terms of going back to that little baby. How would you talk to yourself based on that idea that you're talking to a baby? Encouragingly, supportively, nurturingly, with compassion, and see how that leaves you feeling. So the next time you find yourself getting caught up in that sweating the small stuff, sharing an incident with somebody, see if you can twist it around. Can you share an incident that leaves them and you feeling a whole heap better? Leave out the person that cut you up on the motorway and focus on the person that smiled to you in that queue. And just notice that difference, because that is where it all starts. I will be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock, all going well. And drop me a DM, drop a thoughts in the comments about the small stuff and what that means to you. And is there something small that you can share that might inspire somebody else, a small success for you? See you tomorrow at 11 o'clock.